Padres pregame thoughts. Padres and the Dodgers. Bobby Miller on the mound for the Dodgers and Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres tonight. 6:40 City Connect night. Ji-Man Choi, he's going to make his Padres debut. My Underdog Fantasy pick, I'm going to go Yu Darvish higher on his pitch count. I think he can get to 100 pitches. I know it's a fresh bullpen, but I think Bob Melvin, the coaching staff, realizes that it's a 4-game series, and you don't know what's going to come after this. Yu Darvish, Bob Melvin, we know that he trusts Yu Darvish, so I think he can hit 100 tonight. It's an interesting Dodgers lineup, maybe some names that you don't know that are Dodgers. You know the names, Kike Hernandez, Ahmed Rosario, but maybe some didn't really follow the trade deadline so closely. Well, Ahmed Rosario, he's not in Cleveland anymore, he's with LA. And then Kike Hernandez, he was acquired from the Red Sox. He is going to be playing left field. Justin Turner was not acquired, he's still in Boston. But those are just some guys that maybe not the everyday guy that you would think that's a Dodger now. Maybe you forgot that they traded for him, so there you go. But Mookie, Freddie, the regular guys, they're still in there. Bobby Miller, again, on the mound for the Dodgers, a pretty talented young righty. So we'll see what this Padres lineup can do. Ji-Man Choi, again, making his debut. He did not play in the first game that he was available to come off of the bench. Garrett Cooper also did not play. Scott Barlow is the only Padre that's been able to get any action so far. Obviously, inning in 2/3 in that series finale, pitched really well. And then Rich Hill. Speaking of Rich Hill, he is going to have a huge role for this Padres team. He is expected to start on Sunday, and then Monday, I believe, is Seth Lugo. Sunday, Rich Hill, and his role just got huge. Him and Nick Martinez, I think, because Joe Musgrove, if you missed it, he is going to be out for at least 3 weeks, or that's what he's shut down for 3 weeks. AJ Preller, he's not ruling out the end of the season for Musgrove to return, so he's not saying that he's out for the year, but he's going to be down for 3 weeks. So I would expect him to return, if he does return, sometime in September. The month of August, I think, is off of the table. And yeah, this is concerning news, because when Joe Musgrove has been on the mound, it's win day. Him and Blake Snow, it's win day. You know, Darvish, you think it is. He can give you some consistent innings. Like, I trust Darvish for the most part. We know Bomel, like I said earlier, trusts Yu Darvish. But Musgrove and Snell, those were the guys. And you can't replace Joe Musgrove, especially when the trade deadline is over. This feels like, what, 2021? Or was it 2019? I think 2021. Where the Padres, they didn't make a whole lot of moves at the deadline because they thought, oh, we'll have pitching come back, we'll have the depth. And then a couple hours after the deadline ends, Chris Paddock gets hurt. I think he strains an oblique, and he's out for a significant period of time. I want to say there was another injury on top of that. And then you have Jake Arrieta, you have Vince Velasquez, Ross Detweiler, I believe, ending up starting games in September as the team's collapsing. So the Padres, they only made one starting pitching addition, but I think the good news is that Nick Martinez, he can get built up. And maybe Colorado, that series finale there where he made that spot start, pitched a few innings, maybe that's the start of him getting ramped up more, and he can end up starting some games. Because Rich Hill, the good news is he is a rubber arm. That's what it seems like in his career. Like, he's still going, but he's not someone that relies on velocity, right? And do the Padres want to have Rich Hill starting every 5th day? Or do they want to see what Nick Martinez has as a starter? I think Nick Martinez has what it takes to go in there and be in the rotation. He is younger, obviously, than Rich Hill. And I think with the bullpen, he didn't really have that chance to really settle in because you're pitching 1 inning. It's not like you're pitching 5 innings, 6 innings, and you get that large sample size. Oh, maybe you struggle right out of the gate in the first inning, and you can have time. And, if you give up 1 or 2 runs over 6 innings, it's not labeled a bad outing. But in the bullpen, you give up 1 run, 2 runs, it's a bad outing because that's all you get, right? You get probably 3, 4 batters there if you're not on your game. Instead, with the starter, you get more length. So maybe that's what the Padres want to do with Nick Martinez. We'll see. I mean, they got Rich Hill for a reason, for depth, and he's going to have to be used here. So he's maybe what the Padres do, now that I'm just thinking about it, maybe the Padres, they have Rich Hill start games, have him go all out for 4 or 5 innings, and then they have Nick Martinez come in, give a couple innings, all out, maybe 3 innings, and then that can give a little bit of the bullpen rest, and then they can go Suarez Hader for the 8th and 9th, or they go Barlow and someone else, right, to finish off games. Maybe that's what they try to do, because, right now they need to win games, so I don't know if they want to have Nick Martinez go back in the rotation and they have Rich Hill in there as well, because then what happens there is you have 6 starters, right? You have Darvish, Snell, Walker when he returns. He isn't even back yet. But then you have him, you have Lugo, you have Martinez, and you have Darvish. So is that too much rest, for some guys? So it's going to be interesting to see how they align this up. But I mean, Joe Musgrove, he had a sub-2 ERA since the beginning of June. He has been not as dominant as Blake Snell, but he has been amazing, just like Blake Snell has been. So this is a huge loss, obviously, for a Padres team that is still chasing in the wild card. They're 1 game below 500, so if with a win tonight, they can get to 500. But to me, that doesn't really mean anything because they're not in a postseason spot. Like, I care about the postseason spot. For anyone that wants to bring up the division, I'm not even thinking about that right now. They're still a long ways out from that. If they take 3 out of 4 from the Dodgers, I think they're going to still be like 6.5 back in the division, somewhere around there. That's still a pretty big hole there. You know, you made up ground, but there's not a lot of head-to-head with the Padres and the Dodgers, right? Because of the schedule this year, right? You're playing everyone, so they subtracted some divisional games. So, yeah, important series for the Padres. I'm not just talking about the division. Like, for me, I'm forgetting about that. Just win games so you can keep pace in the wild card, or maybe you can gain games in the wild card. And we'll see what Rich Hill can provide on Sunday. But, you know, I think a lot of pressure's on Blake Snell to continue pitching like this. I think pressure's going to be on Nick Martinez if he gets some starts. Maybe they go with Pedro Avila, although that was 1 outing against a bad Rockies team. But there's pressure on the other starters now that Joe Musgrove's going to be out for more than 3 weeks. He's shut down for 3 weeks, and then he's going to start throwing. So this feels like a Michael Wacha thing, right? Where the Michael Wacha injury didn't seem like a big deal, but then it ended up being a big deal, and he still hasn't returned. He's making a start this weekend with Lake Elsinore, and hopefully he returns after that. With Musgrove, he was supposed to miss this start, you know, this Dodgers series, and then obviously miss the Colorado start, and then come back sometime in the Seattle series. So the Padres, they're obviously precautionary. They try to act like it's not a big deal, and then they have an MRI, and it ends up being a big deal, and it's past the trade deadline. I think AJ would probably want another starter other than Rich Hill now, but this is what they got, so hopefully the guys that they got can perform. All right, post-game reaction coming up after the game. Probably going to be a huge crowd, all 4 games in this series. Can't wait. City Connect Friday, I'll be there. Padres, Dodgers tonight. Bobby Miller against Yu Darvish.